Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell? Councilman Chapori?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
And you said
Councilman Boyd is on his way.
Okay.
So, I make a motion to open up the budget hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good evening, everyone. I invite our accountant, Yulia Kelly, to do our budget presentation for the 2025 tax year.
Hello, good evening, everybody. You can see on the screen, I'm going to present to you the 2025 preliminary budget. It was posted on our website for about a week, so here we go. I always show this chart just to kind of show everybody where your tax dollars go. So out of every dollar that you spend on taxes, 73 cents goes to the school district, about 18 cents comes to the town, and about 8.5 cents goes to the county. It's just another chart kind of comparing where the dollars go, the tax dollars go. The blue bar is your tax rate for the school district. The orange is the town, and then the gray is the county. The following few charts are just going to be some graphs showing you the change over the years in the tax levy for the school district. This is for the Carmel School District, and then the next chart will be for our town and for a few nearby towns in the county. So as you can see, over the last 7 or so years, the school district tax levy increased by about $10 million. This is a chart of, our town line graph is the one in the middle, the purple one. And then we have 3 other towns that are shown here as well. If you look at the increase, the percentage increase from 2018 to now to 2025 proposed budget, the percentage increase as compared to other towns, we're actually kind of in the same range. So the levy increases for neighboring towns range between 15% and 20% over the last 7 years. But it was a steady increase. So every year, neighboring towns, increased their levy by about 2%, 3%, 4%, depending on the year. For town of Kent, our levy was almost unchanged for several years. And in the last few years, we were forced to increase it. There is increasing costs, cost of living, cost of goods, cost of energy, cost of health insurance, cost of other costs that we are required to pay into have increased. So that's just a quick overview. The preliminary budget, 2025 preliminary budget, does include a town-wide levy increase for the town and the highway funds of about 9.5%. The districts in the town, the Lake Carmel Sanitation District, preliminary budget includes about an 11.8% increase. Lake Carmel Fire District is actually a slight decrease. Kent Fire District to 2.6%, and the Lake Carmel Park District, the preliminary budget does include an 18% increase. We are working on opening a new department in the town. It's an ambulance department. It'll be a totally new operation for 2025. Just a couple of expenses that have increased significantly over the years. The town, just like every municipality in the state, is required to contribute to the retirement system, and those costs have increased significantly. Our health insurance expense increases every year. 5% is actually kind of on the modest side, but there have been years when it's increased 12%, 10%, and we have no control over those costs. Our sanitation district, the contractual costs basically to dump the garbage, to bring the garbage to the dump, have increased exponentially over the years as well. So you could just see, next few charts will just show you the rising costs of these different categories. So these are the retirement contributions, health insurance, sanitation costs for the sanitation district. I know this is kind of small, but that's just a summary. It's a summary of the budget. It's a page from the actual budget itself, summarizing by townwide, and it includes all the districts as well. The total appropriations, how much the tax levy is proposed to be, and what the fund balance usage is going to be as well. This just breaks down the budget by the different type of expenses. You have the general townwide municipal expenses, police, highway, sanitation, Lake Carmel Park District, the fire districts, the sewer districts, and then the smaller districts, the waterfront and the again, this is another breakdown of just the general fund budget as compared to prior to 2024 adopted budget. This is the same chart for the highway fund, and just a couple of points with major paving projects are being undertaken using CHIPS funds, which is a grant we get every year from the state. And just the highway garage reconstruction is complete and was funded with a bond. That's it for the presentation. Questions?
Well, one thing I think that jumped out to me right away is why did the Lake Carmel Park District go up so much? What was the cause for the, I think, 18%? 18% increase from last year?
Well, it's an 18% levy increase. We've used basically our savings over several years. We use, in order to keep the tax increase down, the town has used a lot of its savings to balance the budget. Eventually, you run out of the savings, and therefore, how do you balance the budget? Thus, the increase.
Okay. So, in a similar instance, I know that, like, let's say the water district, we've ran over what was budgeted each year in that, but we never did a significant, like, 18% increase to cover it. Basically, the way I understand it, and I could be saying this wrong, is the water district went into debt to the town, and it would have to be made up over a period of time.
Right.
But that's not the case with Lake Carmel. What you need to recover to meet the operational expenses for the year is included, and it's going to, that's going to be the operating budget.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Do we want to do public comment? And
Sure.
then, is there any public comment?
I'm sure there's some good
I know.
questions.
So you can come up, but you have to come up to the microphone just so that the people at home can hear you. So.
Can you hear me now?
No, you
No,
gotta
you
come.
have to come up to the microphone.
I saw the ambulance listed. What percentage of the budget is for the ambulance, percentage or dollar?
The net cost, it's a very rough estimate, because it is a new operation for us, but the net cost to the town is projected to be about $400,000 for 2025.
Okay, and I understand the need for an ambulance. I just wanted to know why now is there like an urgency need for it when we always use neighboring towns for an ambulance?
I believe
Do you want me
every
to-
town, go ahead.
So,
Or-
we are the last town to really start an ambulance, and unfortunately, the coverage for other towns coming here, they can't help us, as, you know, they can't guarantee that they'll be here, there's no guarantee. So, if you could call an ambulance, and it could take 25, 30 minutes for them to get to you.
So has there been documentation on calls that take that long, or they didn't come for an emergency, they came later, or wasn't any life-threatening emergencies? Any documentation on that?
Nancy has seen all that, there's.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually, because we're the last ones to form our own district, we're part of mutual aid for the county, and we all help each other when we can, but we haven't had an ambulance in a while. And so they've been really going above and beyond to help out the town when they can. And we've
And putting a
recently-
strain on their own towns.
Yes, it puts a strain on their own resources. It makes it, you know, it puts their residents at risk from their perspective. So we can't continue to rely on them. If mutual aid means we have to be able to respond too.
So, and to answer your question before, we have been given statistics that there's been cases where the ambulance coverage has been up to 45 minutes to respond.
Was that in a life-threatening situation, or just a general need for an ambulance
I can't
transport?
answer that,
we
but
don't
I
know.
will tell you this, both of our fire departments came to us, came to the town and said our volunteerism, because we had volunteer ambulances, we had them at both fire departments, and they met with us, they came to us, they actually looked us up and said, we need to meet with you, and told us, we need you to help us, we need to come up with a better plan, a better system, because it's not working for us anymore. We just don't have the coverage to do the coverage that we need, and it's affecting the residents of the town. It's not helping the residents of our town because we can't come up with the volunteerism. So we worked as a task force, as a joint project with both fire departments, all the way from over a year ago on coming up with the best solution for us. And we made out pretty well. I mean, they each gave us an ambulance. Lake Carmel gave us the substation. So the startup costs, plus we used our ARPA funds, which had to be used for a project type this. It wasn't tax dollars. Well, it was, but it was from the federal government. So our startup costs were actually very good to start up this department. The operational costs, I think Yulia said it best, until we get running and see what the return is from Medicare and insurance coverage, it's kind of we're kind of
gray
throwing it
area.
up in the air and saying, well, we're gonna figure this out, and it may take a year or two to see how that averages out. But there is some return. I do believe there's always gonna be a cost to run the ambulance corps, because there are cases where we don't get paid back through insurance, or we don't get paid back through Medicare.
If the person's uninsured.
But that, that's the nature of running an EMS agency. So,
I believe the chief has something. Did you want
I
to?
would just want to say, there's been many times over the last few years where we have to wait a half an hour, 45 minutes for an ambulance. And, I don't have specifics on life-threatening things, but I can tell you, if you're having difficulty breathing, you want the ambulance to get there as quick as it can. So, I know for a fact, both the fire departments had a hard time getting the ambulance, the volunteers to come to get the ambulance out. Sometimes it comes from Phillipstown, from neighboring town.
So I understand the need for an ambulance. My main concern is just to get a big hit of 9% increase. It's just a big hit for a lot of people. That's why they're here. And maybe I'm picking on one thing. I don't know what there was a general expenditure, but that wasn't broken down to specifics. So rather than picking every little thing, that's just one thing I thought about. But I guess our main concern is just getting that hit with a 9% increase on a lot of people is a big hit, especially living on a fixed income.
Yes.
So I don't know how
a
you can adjust that.
9% increase is about $160 a year on a house assessed at $375,000.
Could you repeat that, please?
So the increase that's being proposed is approximately $160 per
Year.
year. No, $160 per year, based on if you were living in a $375,000 assessed house. Not $160.
I just want to make one more point about the ambulance. There are many municipalities, especially in Dutchess County this year, that they can't form their own ambulance department like the town of Kent has. And as a result, they have to outsource that. And it is, the expense for that has gone up dramatically. So much more that I understand that almost every municipality in Dutchess County has to break the tax cap. And they're just gonna have to keep paying that year after year if they can't do what the town of Kent has done. So it's not just Kent that's feeling the ambulance situation pain, it's prevalent everywhere.
I think it's important also, and Nancy, you'd be a good one to speak to this, is we've gotten pushback from some of our other towns about not doing this ourselves. They want us to be part of this bigger group too.
Okay. That's all I have.
Sorry, I refuse to use a cane. Thank you. Jackie Callahan from Lake Carmel. So about $400,000 is in the budget that we'll pay for the first year?
Yes, correct, for the first year.
Okay. How is billing and whatnot going to go to insurance companies to pay for that? How
We
is that
have-
going to happen?
We've hired a billing company. They take a percentage out of each, money that we receive, and they go after and they do the billing for us.
Okay. And we pay them
So they
from what
just
we
get a
put-
percentage of what they receive. So it's,
Okay.
we're not paying them they're taking it out, we're not writing them a check, they're taking it out, and then they pass along to us the balance.
Okay, so if this is a new department, what does the person in that department do? Is there's going to be someone heading that department?
The EMS director, yes.
Okay, so they have no billing capacity? Am I making this clear?
Billing as far as the ambulance runs and stuff?
Sure.
No, that's not typically something that would be done in-house. This is very typical that. It's a
specialized service
yeah.
that we specially licensed for, and I don't think the municipality can do that itself.
Okay,
What we did is very typical, or not, very, extremely typical of how it's done in every other municipality.
yeah. And you're thinking it's not going to go beyond the year, this budget year?
No,
Before
the
income
ambulance,
before income comes back in?
I think we will be able to figure out in the next year how much money we're bringing in, and then the budget will not need to be nearly as large next year for the ambulance.
We'll get a better idea how many calls we handle and how much of that bills come back in.
We have no idea right now,
I know.
so.
On a good
You know.
note, today was our
Today.
very first ambulance call was today.
We soft
The ambulance
launched
ran
today.
And did you all go?
Yeah, we all got on the bus
We
together.
got a text message. It was successful.
But we hope that no one ever needs the ambulance.
Hi, Julie Boyd, Town of Kent. So is the percentage 9.55? Or, because on your budget, looked like it was 9.18. Not that,
So 9.55 is the townwide and the highway, so that's the townwide increase.
okay,
And then you have all the districts. So
Okay.
some of the districts obviously don't affect everybody. So the total is the 9.18, but that's, if you live depending on where you live.
okay. So is it based on 100,000, would it be like $91 per 100,000?
Right.
Okay, so the math is,
And it depends on right, it's not that simple, because it's a function of also the total assessment.
Okay.
The actual rate itself. So it's not exactly that, because the assessment varies from year to year as well.
okay. In the past few years, the taxes have gone up 2 to 4 and 4%.
Right.
It's not a cumulative, right? Like, do we go back to our assessed value and you start with that 9%? 9.1? Like, it's not going to be a tax increase, because those all add up to like 15.5%.
So if you take the last, from 2018 to 2025, over that whole period, because for about 5 or 6 years, there was no increase.
Right.
So in those years, so basically what we're doing, our baseline should have been over here, but it's down here. But in the meantime, all the costs every year, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, they've been increasing. We've just been using kind of our basically a savings. You know,
Okay.
in government, we call it fund balance, you know, everybody else, it's just a savings. Eventually, the savings get depleted, and then to be fiscally responsible, we need to,
So we have no more savings or reserves?
it's dwindled down, so we have to keep it there, you know, we're required to by the state.
Okay.
Maybe you could use the mic, because I think
Oh.
other people at home, they want to
I
hear
think you
these
can use
explanations.
Nancy's if you want to use Nancy's.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything to me.
You think it's picking?
Okay.
The 8 years of 0% increase really didn't help us, because every year we were going into the fund balance to balance the budget.
But those tax increases, like in 2023, we had 2 point, like something, 2.16. So, and then last year we had a 4. It's not like this year our taxes are actually going up 50, like it's not accumulative, we don't,
No, this year.
it's just
Oh,
the
no.
9.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no.
Just
Sorry.
making
I-
sure. I figured it was that way, but, you know,
Julia,
sometimes
just based
doing
on
math.
this, Can I
it's-
interrupt just for 1 second? To say that we don't have any money left isn't correct. We do keep a balance just for our bond rating and everything. We do keep a fund balance, right, or a reserve.
required to keep
We're
a fund
required to, yeah,
balance.
okay.
Yeah,
Just want to
it's-
clarify
yeah.
that.
It was
Yeah, I
much
wasn't going to
higher.
ask what the town rating was. I figured it was still good.
Oh, use that one.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the hard part. I'm not making enemies. I'm just trying to ask questions. So I don't want anyone here or over here to take it's not personal. It's just asking questions. Looking at budget, we sat through the meeting last year, looked at the budget, and there are some we had a lot of expenditures no one must have been expecting last year. So I'm going to ask a few questions. And don't take it personally. It's just asking. I've had to do budgets before, and I got questions, and I couldn't take it personally. You know, I totally get giving employees raises. And I know you guys' raises aren't that big. You do a great job, or you do a lot of hard work for a part-time job. But when you're asking the taxpayers such a significant raise of their taxes, sorry, guys, I don't think you should take it, because it doesn't just impact your salary line, it impacts FICA, state, federal, retirement, it impacts all those, whatever your salary is. Sorry, the less than $8,000 between all of you, it's not going to make or break us, but I think it's a perception that you give to the community that, hey, this is going to be a really hard year, we're not going to give ourselves a raise. And none of you do this for a full-time job. So I know, you know, but I just find it hard when bosses, well, Jamie, yeah, I'm sorry. No, Jamie told me she's a business owner, so when we talked about employees before, so there must be some other income there.
But I do work full-time. I work every day of the week. My
I'm
phone
not
rings.
saying you don't.
Well, you just said I don't work full-time. You're right, I actually work more than full-time.
Yeah, and
More
I
than-
know everyone on that board works more than part-time. But it's just, sorry, it's just my perspective, and it's something I've heard from others. So, you know, you can keep it in there. Like I said, the $8,000 on just one line isn't going to make a big
I
difference.
mean, my phone rings every Saturday, every Sunday,
I-
with my kids, doesn't matter.
Jamie, I'm
You
not
know,
criticizing,
well,
don't take it.
You kind of are criticizing, so I'm going to say how I
You
feel
signed up
about
for the
it.
job.
Exactly.
You got it.
I did, you're right, I did sign up for this job, and I'm not complaining about it, but I'm letting you know that I do work full-time.
Right,
More
and
than
you,
that.
and you make 3 salaries. You make your supervisor salary, you make the budget director salary, and you make a rec director salary.
I-
Is that not correct?
I don't make, so our past rec director made, you can, 90,000?
But last year, the town passed to give you an additional raise for doing the duty.
A stipend, but I'm not receiving a recreation director salary on top of my salary.
Right, a recreation director's salary would probably range from 75 to 80,000.
Okay, but you're getting $6,000 more dollars, so your taxes are going up, and if you know, sorry, it's not, I'm not harassing you. I'd
Just
also like to
clarify,
know.
So,
Yeah.
we don't have a rec director that's making $75,000 to $80,000. We're paying a $6,000 stipend to Jamie to take that position. So we have a plus savings of $70,000. I think that's a beneficial.
Okay,
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
So, Julie, I honestly, I don't care if we get a raise or not, the board can discuss that, and with perception, you're right, I just added it up quick, it's total of 3,570 with Jamie's and the 4 of ours.
Did you times them?
I multiplied the 300,
So this year you
The
made
three-
394,221. The projected budget is 402,107, which is a difference of 7,886.
I'm just doing the math quick in my head, $18,036 last year, 18,300.
That, you gotta times that by 4, and you gotta times the justices by 2.
Oh, I didn't count the justices. I didn't put them in.
I'm not gonna argue math, I just was making a point. On page 1, with the franchise services, we brought in 80,000 this year. Why are we projecting to bring in 180,000 next year when we didn't bring it in this year?
And that's just a half or a quarter. If you're looking at 2024 column, that's
Right.
actual to date.
Yeah, year to date. So how in the last quarter are we bringing in another 100,000?
It's not going to be that's just a half. We get it half one part of the year and half the other part of the year. It's probably, it usually comes after the year end and it gets accrued back to
Okay.
2024.
Okay,
Yeah, a lot of the 2024 figures are not final. A lot of things, there's a lot of entries made at the end of the year, accounting entries.
okay. Is
That-
that why there's no retirement in any of the line
Correct, yeah,
items?
because that gets paid in December.
Okay.
And that's when everything gets recorded.
Okay, so that's why the actuals look a little
Yeah.
off. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Page 4, under rec, fees for civic rec, we have a couple that are minuses. Is this one we pay out for services versus,
Yes.
okay,
Some programs are netted,
Mm-hmm.
so we collect and then we pay out. Sometimes we pay somebody to run a program, we pay them in advance, as fees are still coming in.
okay. What's the difference between town-wide celebrations on page 21 and the one on page 24? Just that.
That's the fireworks.
Which one?
The one you're looking at on page 21, that's
Okay.
just the fireworks.
Okay. So what's the other one?
It's for any event.
Community Day.
Yeah, any event that's not fireworks. Community Day, trying to think.
Winter Festival, if we do a Winter Festival, when we did National Night Out with the Police, what else was there? Farmers markets, what? Movie nights.
Okay. Oh, those aren't under rec? Movie nights?
Excuse me?
I was just asking, movie nights aren't under rec somewhere? I mean, I didn't see a line on them, but that doesn't mean anything.
Maybe I'm incorrect, but I think
But
that that's
it's
covered
okay.
under there.
That's fine. You guys do a lot for the town. On page 25, landfill expenditures were up. Does that have to do with Lake Carmel, or does that have to do with us?
I'm
When I
sorry,
say us.
repeat on
Page 25, At the bottom of the page, the landfill went up from 35,000 to 87,000.
It's not Lake Carmel, it's our landfill on Resica Road. So anytime there's a storm and Rich Offmer, his department needs to grind and get rid of, stumps and brush, and that's where that expense
Okay.
is.
Okay. On page 28, it has fund transfer, 700,000.
It goes to highway.
So on the
Yeah,
next one,
yeah,
it shows
yes,
up on page
yeah,
30.
Yeah, highway and general are one taxpayer base.
Sometimes I'm figuring it out. Rich, don't get mad, but I'm going to ask why we went over budget on machinery and contractual significantly. Well, I mean, we bought something new.
Just,
Well, I guess the simple question is, guys, I could go through this line. A budget is something that you're supposed to look at when you make expenditures. So do we use our budget, or do we just make one up every year? It looks good, and, sorry, but that's what a budget is. You're supposed to look, and if you go over budget or close to a budget in a line item, you shouldn't spend any more money until you figure out how you're going to pay for it, instead of on the backs of everyone else. That's what a budget's for. We don't have a budget in our business. I couldn't keep Sean's father on a budget if my life depended on it. But that's different. It's a family-run business. But that's what a budget is. We're supposed to stay within those line items that we all agree upon and you pass. Unless there's a natural emergency or an emergency of some sort, like this year you were given the ambulance. That was something that was going to put you way out of budget. And I'm not even picking on the ambulance, because you had no choice.
Well, so you have a question about the highway, correct? About the,
Well, I've just decided
then
to
do you
give
want-
up, because you're not staying in your budget lines that you made
but do
last
you want
year.
Richie to come up and talk to you about what it was? Because we can't answer those questions.
But you should
about
be able
highway.
to.
No, but he's the highway superintendent, so he's the one that would be able to discuss what he purchased.
we could also get back to you on a specific question.
Well,
'cause some of
I can
these-
call Rich, I know his number.
Some of the 2024 figures are not final, and once the year is closed out, it could mean, it could mean that the highway department sold a piece of equipment, and they had a surplus in their revenue, and they were able to purchase a piece of equipment. So you don't see the adjustment to the budget yet. All you see is the adopted budget and the expenditures.
I guess I don't
But-
understand why we're in the fourth quarter. Shouldn't we know the first 3 quarters answer, so we'd only be 1 quarter behind at this meeting, not knowing an adjustment?
Well, we're gonna do, the board is going to, they know what goes on. They approve every purchase, they approve every budget adjustment. It's an accounting, from an accounting perspective. You're not seeing a full 2024 picture. We can go over 2023, which is
Well, that's why I'm
closed out
asking you
and
questions
finished.
about 2023,
Right.
because
If you have a
we didn't-
specific,
But we didn't follow the 2023 budget. Rich runs a great highway department. He has the best vehicles in the world, and he does a great job for us. I don't question that. I mean, his vehicles, and crew are great.
and if you have a specific question, we could just have to get back to you on it. I don't remember every line, we don't remember every line item in the budget.
But in certain
Right,
areas,
right.
when you're, so far over budget, that, even when okay, I'm gonna let you off the hook. But when you go under parks, we incurred a $340,000, page 43. We incurred, is that the what's that related to?
That's the storm related.
Storm related, what's
So that's
storm?
related to the.
July
To the.
July of 2023. we had the-
No, this is she's talking about the Lake Carmel. So it
So
would be
this is the bridge?
Yes.
That's the bridge?
Yep,
Okay,
which we are getting reimbursed
some.
from FEMA.
How much?
95%,
Okay, but we just spent 340, and what's the contract coming in at?
729,
So where's the rest of it?
689 FEMA.
$689. Thank you.
689,000.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Seven-
For adding the extra zeros.
A negative of 40,000, and it costs $25,000 to rebuild it every time it washes out.
But did we also spend 97,000 on engineering for that project?
It's covered in the FEMA cost.
By the way, who's Meridian on your budget line?
Meridian is the company that handles the FEMA for us. They are gentlemen that used to work in FEMA, so they know how to navigate everything, and they can,
A consultant.
yes.
Okay. Is there any money in this budget for the Lake Carmel Community Center?
Did we put anything in, Julia? Oh,
We didn't decrease the budget for Lake Carmel Community Center.
Well, I know, but
well, we're looking into grants for the community center right now.
So the answer is no.
okay.
Because we have no money to spend. So you're saying, don't spend money we don't have, and we
Well,
can't.
that's
So
why I was just asking in case it was in the hidden line item that I couldn't figure out.
unfortunately not. But there are some grants that we are looking for that will help with the demolition of the building and potentially putting up the new building.
Or when we have to pay the match for grants, is that money then we have to also just find or use our subsidy, our savings for?
On
Like when-
matches for grants?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to find that.
Yes, but sometimes the matches are also, you can do in kind, so you can bill for our, Yulia's time, my time, Ann's time, you can use that
It's
as
an
the,
administrative cost
Yes.
percentage,
so,
Okay.
that could be.
I can give an example if you'd like. Most of the grants that we've worked on in the last few years have either been in kind or through ARPA. For the Safe Streets for All grant that we just got for, it's a $200,000 project, and the funding we would receive is $180,000. But out of that, we can charge a 10% overhead rate for the town to administer the grant. And so then the funds that we have to put in as the match in cash or in kind from non-town employees, as volunteers perhaps, comes to about $21,000, and we had set aside $25K in ARPA funds at our last meeting, so we have that covered. Now, going forward, when the ARPA funds are gone, that's going to make it more challenging for us to be able to meet the match for some of our grants. That is definitely true. With New York Forward, if we're lucky enough to get it, there is no match. If we got the DOT TAP grant for sidewalks, that's a 20% match. We would probably have to bond to be able to do that project when the time comes, if we're lucky enough to get it. And that's a decision that the board would have to make in conjunction with public input. So I hope that helps to clarify.
So with the water districts too, there was an increase in the contractual. Was that for engineering costs? Water District 1 and 2 on the contractual line?
there was also a lot of repairs that had to be done in the water district.
A lot of repairs, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's also a line that includes that.
Yeah, and we're lucky really with that right now. That thing is held together with bubblegum shoelaces. And we actually do have a grant coming down the pipe, hopefully. We've not been approved for it yet, but $1.6 million to put in the infrastructure for that.
Okay.
Yeah, keep your fingers crossed, because without that money, these were, and obviously, right, we know well pumps and systems in there, and they're basically, a majority of the equipment is original when it was installed in basically the late 60s, early 70s. So, it's like catastrophic waiting to happen on those. And I'd hate to, without that 1.6 million, I don't know what we would do for that system.
Okay, thanks. You do a good job. Don't pay attention to social media.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Any other board comments?
Yeah, lots of comments.
Okay, then you go.
So, yes, the budget is tough, and we have to raise the tax cap. So here in the town of Kent, our police department is, I think, the lowest paid police department in Putnam County. You know, it'd be nice to pay the clerks and the people that work here for the town. I believe that they're actually the lowest paid, you know, in the county also. And if you were to run a business and, you know, you have to spend money to make money, as they say, you have to put money into your infrastructure. If you don't pay your employees over time raises, you know, they'll leave, or the quality of the people that you have is going to fall away. And the people that work here are great. I'm here several times a week myself. I walk end to end in the building, shaking hands, saying hello to everybody. So I have a good idea how people feel here. And they would like to get more money and a reasonable salary, but it's tough. It's tough for us to look the people that work here in the eye and say, no, we can't afford to give you a reasonable salary, or the police department, or you know, other people that are here at the town, because we know that we have to reach into the pockets of the taxpayers who are also suffering high energy costs, high taxes, high, you know, whatever the cost of living is. It's not easy, and we get it. So it's very tough for us. I can tell you, for Jamie, I'm a good read of character, and she takes it very seriously. You know, some days she calls me and we talk, and it's very emotional. It's hard for her to work on this budget, knowing what we have to do and what we have to decide to cut and what we can keep. The real remedy at the end of the day is we have to bring in more monies, not from the specific taxpayers in the town, but rather we need to increase our commercial properties. Commercial tax revenue is going to be the way to go. That's really the only solution we have to help pay our police department the proper wage to keep good officers here. The only way to pay our clerks the money that they deserve to keep good people here, just like running a business. If you want good employees, you have to pay them properly. And I think people like Rich does a phenomenal job. He has got millions of dollars in grant monies, which is, I think, way more than somebody previous to him. And they do tons of work to their own trucks. He goes on websites and finds these little gems of equipment to purchase to save us money. And I think, sitting through these open budget meetings, and it is an open budget meeting session, it's open to the public. I've sat in every single one of these and, tried to work on ideas of how to save stuff, how to save money with sanitation. I'm not going to throw you out specifically what we've been talking about, but, just the weight of the sanitation. The labor is a set cost. Whether the guys pick up 1 garbage can or 10 garbage cans, we're paying that labor. But the cost of taking the weight, the garbage, down to the transfer station is a huge cost. And we talk about how to lower that or change how the costs are on stuff like that. So we are dedicated to keeping the taxes as low as possible. But yet, we can't let the town get run down at the same time. So let's just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Susan Kotzer, Town of Kent. I know I asked at one of the meetings, sorry, Ann, I'll speak up. I asked at one of the small budget meetings in the conference room how much we actually have, the town has, in the fund reserve balance. And Julia, you said 2 million? I think it was 2 million. I'm not sure, but I just want to clarify that so that everybody knows in dollars. I know at one time we had 6 million.
Correct, it's about 2 million.
It's about 2 million.
Projected, that's where we project to end up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board comments? So we hold this budget meeting open, right? And then we can vote on it at the next, we can continue the budget meeting, but also vote on it on the November, 12th? Or do we need it before then?
Well, the public hearing has to be closed. The last day to close the public hearing is Thursday after Election Day, so next Thursday.
The 7th.
Right.
So we're gonna have to have another meeting before.
If you keep the public hearing open, yeah.
Does everyone want to go to public
The
hearing?
public hearing has to be adjourned by the 15th.
Oh, the 15th, okay.
Okay, and the next
So
board
then
meeting
you
is the
have time.
12th.
Okay.
Okay. Is everyone good with that?
I'm fine with it.
Yes?
Just call me 10 minutes before.
I will. I'll give you a little more notice.
A little nudge.
Sit at the computer, and then Jamie's phone calls me, and I'm like, "Ruh-roh."
So you're not gonna close it, you're just
No,
gonna
we're gonna hold
adjourn
it.
it? to
Yep,
that
adjourn
date.
it to the November 12th meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. We have to go into some more
we do? For-
potential.
I make a motion to go into executive session for potential litigation.
Wait a second. Are
Wait.
you gonna adjourn the public hearing and then go into executive
Yes.
session? Okay, just checking.
Yep.
Make a
Do I gotta
motion.
make a motion to do that?
You said you wanted to go into executive
Yeah.
session?
I make a
think
motion
you
to
should-
adjourn the public hearing?
Yes, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Now I make a motion to go into executive session for potential litigation.
Second.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.